Here we go, back into the game.
Hey, I tell you what, sometimes a break can do some funny things to players and teams, and it might have been a chance here for Sentinels to regain, to have a little chat about how they want to approach things, or maybe it's going to be the same old, same old. There's Stellur not making mistakes at the start of this game.
If this is any indication, it might be same old, same old. 2 dead already. Stellur is already in the back of the base, and somehow even avoids the damage from the melee and gets away with it. It's those little differences like that that make such a big difference.
I love this strat from Stellur in C9. It gives them a flag cap and spawn control in the first minute of the game. We'll start by just running through what happened here. He hits a drop slide off this ramp, jumps, runs up the ramp. He's going to slide, pre-nade to the jump up, picks up 2 plasmas, throws a second nade over to Car, gets a kill on the lethal. Renegade gets a kill at the same time. So quick curb slide the back of the base to take advantage of the timing here. Fortunately avoids a melee from Royal 2, gets the kill. And now look at what's been created. They've got a numbers advantage. They got the flag out and Stellur in position to block spawns as well. Okay, so first this drop slide. If you're not already doing this, you should start. He sprints, jumps, holds crouch in the air, lands at the base of the ramp. That boosts him out, and then he jumps again to maintain the momentum. He'll then sprint, slide, and toss this nade while sliding. If you nade while sprinting, it's going to cancel your sprint animation, and you move slower. So if you sprint, slide, and then nade while sliding, you maintain your speed as you pre-nade. Great pre-nade, too, because it bounces, and it blows up right at the jump up. He covers so many options with this. By the way, I know most of you guys know these mechanics already, but just in case you don't, I'm going to explain them one time so that when they come up later in the video, I won't have to do so anymore. But for example, this pre-nade, the fact that he banked it off the floor to blow up later is a smart idea. Banking a nade off a surface is what sets the explosion timer. Nades in this game do not blow up until they bank off of something, and then they blow up a second or 2 later. So by bouncing it off the floor, that's a very powerful way to use this nade. And the fact that it bounces and lands and blows up in the air is so smart, because this explosion, how many options is he covering here, right? If you're jumping from the jump up, you get hit by this. If you're clambering the ledge, you get hit by this. If you're in the street down below, you get hit by this nade, as opposed to throwing a nade that, let's say, blows up on the top of the ledge and just sits on top. He could bank it, have it blow up on top of the ledge. If he does that, he only covers the one option, somebody who clambers up. So I like this. He doesn't know if somebody's there, throws a nade that covers it all, picks up the 2 plasmas, it does a little check over to pink side and doesn't see somebody, and then he leaves that lane entirely, doesn't go down pink street. Kind of tough to tell with this quality, but look at where his team is. He's got Penguin top mid, Eco over on Car side, and then Renegade somewhere behind them, likely on the window. Typically, one player plays the window off the opening strat on this map, so that's probably where he is. His decision to not go pink street is good then for 2 reasons. He avoids potentially being alone, separated from the team, taking a 1v1, and avoids blocking that fridge spawn as well, which C9 do not want to block that spawn, and you'll see why in a sec. He knows there's commotion out here, so he will toss a pre-nade over to Car, ends up bouncing and blowing up over top Car, which you can see right there. Spots lethal, gets the kill at the same time. Nice Halo 5-esque reticle discipline here. When he sees lethal, shoots him twice. Lethal jump thrusts, and he overflicks his reticle. But despite the overflick, he patiently waits and then recorrects it, hits the headshot, knowing he's going to take this fight anyway. But that patience is useful to counter the thrust. So he gets the kill on lethal, slides off to the jump up. Renegade gets a kill as well. It's now a 4v2 for C9. They got a numbers advantage. And Stellur, knowing this, immediately hits a curb slide for a quick rotation to the back of the base. Not only did he hit a difficult slide, he hits this confidently, and he hits it while looking up at Royal 2. This is not easy to pull off. There's a special technique Stellur is using to hit this slide, and to explain it, we're going to have to get into some slide theory. To consistently hit curb slides from tall ledges like this one, you need to understand how this mechanic works. So once again, bear with me, one explanation so that if it comes up later, you guys got some context. But this is also my own personal theory and speculation. As far as I'm aware, there's 3 main factors that affect whether or not you can curb slide, as well as the distance and the speed that you travel. Those 3 factors are your position relative to the wall, to the floor, and your downward momentum coming into the slide. Of course, I can't know for sure what's actually happening when you try to curb slide, but what I think is happening is in that moment, your Spartan is trying to perform the slide animation, but it doesn't have the space to do so. Essentially, the wall and the floor is like squeezing your Spartan as it tries to maneuver to perform a slide in the air. And then you couple that with the downward momentum and the added momentum from sliding, and the combination jets you out very quickly. if that makes sense. To make it make sense, the way I see it is imagine Master Chief dropping off a ledge and doing like a wall kick or a Spartan-powered like hand plant to launch out for a slide. That seems badass, to be honest, if that was like animated into the game. But anyway, that's how I see it. Nerd theory aside, the point is, if you want to hit curb slides consistently off tall ledges, you need to find a way to hug that wall as much as possible as you're falling before you slide. You almost want to think of every ledge as having like a tiny little off-ramp connected to it. To hit a curb slide, you not only have to perfectly time that crouch, you also have to perfectly position your Spartan so that the slide is even possible in the first place. To do this, you can't just sprint off a tall ledge like this one, because if you just sprint off, you're going to go too far from the ledge and the curb slide is impossible. So the special technique that Stellur is using here is he's walking off the ledge to slow down his movement. Notice how when Stellur lands on this ledge, he walks. He doesn't actually start sprinting until right as he's leaving the lip of the ledge. He sprint slides very quickly, very precisely. By walking instead of sprinting in this situation, he slows down his movement speed and ensures that when he leaves the ledge, he doesn't distance himself too far from the wall, making this slide possible. Halo Infinite's sprint is unique in that you can slide instantly out of sprint, so you don't always need a runway to set up a curb slide. In some cases, it's better and more efficient to walk out to the edge of the ledge and then very quickly from the lip, you sprint slide and set this up and launch yourself out. Honestly, understanding and mastering this process will not only allow you to hit curb slides more consistently, but you'll also be able to hit them farther and faster than ever before. This technique is so unique and so impactful that I personally have given it a new name. I call it the Slingshot. Feel free to workshop that in the comments if you like. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to be said on this topic and how to slingshot, but I'll save it for another time. It wouldn't be a Shyway video without a long, unnecessary tangent about curb sliding anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed it. The point is, the dude did a slide. He got to the hallway a tiny bit faster because of it. He honestly could have hit that cleaner and skipped the clamber as well, but I won't knock him for it. To be honest, though, when you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, Halo really is just a game about timing. Take this situation, for example. When I first saw this, I thought that Stellur got lucky. I thought that it was fortunate that Royal 2 missed his melee here. Had Royal 2 hit the melee, it probably would have been a trade, and that could have crippled C9 and their ability to run the flag. And maybe there was some luck involved in this exchange, but one thing I can say for sure from this is that Stellur's decision-making and execution in this situation was perfect. When Sentinels goes 2 down in this situation, what is Stellur's objective? He wants to isolate and kill Royal 2 while keeping his team and their numbers advantage alive. So by very skillfully executing this fast slide and full sprinting into the back of the base, what he's doing is he is forcing Royal 2 to take a 2v1 fight in a situation where nobody can help him whatsoever. If Stellur was slightly too slow on this rotation, what could have happened is a split spawner could have spawned in the back of the base to help Royal 2, or Royal 2 with less pressure might have got a kill on one of his teammates, or Royal 2 could have escaped the base and the fight could have taken place like right here, let's say, and a split spawner could have spawned up and shot Stellur in the back to help Royal 2. So the fact that he's moving so quick and so decisively, note that he could have gone wide here. He could have taken this box on the right, but that might have been a slower kill, and that might have given Royal 2 more time. Instead, Stellur is taking a smart gamble. He knows where Royal 2 is, so he's going full aggro, does a smart jump too by jumping here. If you're going to play aggressive, you might as well play tricky. He gets immediate high ground on the fin. So it's just so beautifully played. He's taking a gamble, but he knows that if he kills Royal 2 fast, then what does it do for C9? They have a numbers advantage still. They got the flag out. Sentinel still on respawn. C9 is working in perfect unison here. Stellur's quick rotation to back base with the kill on Royal 2 blocks the spawns in the base. While that happens, Eco comes through car, grabs the flag, takes it back through car side. Typically the safest route to run the flag because you can very quickly block the sightlines with the wall of utility. While that's happening, Renegade, knowing that the only open spawn is Fridge, remember how I said you want them to spawn there? Fridge is a vulnerable corner on the map. When you spawn there, you're stuck there. Renegade knows that, so he's now pushing the one open spawn to take a fight with Frosty. He ends up trading with Frosty. Lethal, and you can see that in the kill feed, Lethal slips out through P1 to try to cut off the flag, but now that Stellur has lived, he's in position to cut off those spawners. While that's happening, you still got Penguin on car, who's in position to help with the flag. So this whole team is working perfectly to isolate Snakebite and Lethal. They both die, and because of their positioning, Stellur already knows the Royal 2 spawning in Fridge once again, so he can come back and continue to assault the spawns while that flag is being ran. So not only did they run that flag, Stellur just got himself back in the back of the base to block the spawn, and now Sentinels has to deal with Stellur and let that flag go, or else there will be a second flag going in shortly after. Overall, this was a perfect starting strat from C9, and they do stuff like this all the time to snowball the game. Even though Stellur dies here, look at what happened. Because he took their attention, now they have to fight from defense because the rest of C9 was given time to get back to the center of the map. So Frosty is already on defense, shooting them in mid-map after the first flag went in. And that's all for today's breakdown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Between the recording of the analysis and this outro, I decided to take some time to just kind of think everything over, come back with some final thoughts. Also gives my editor some time to just do his thing. In case you guys aren't aware, I don't edit these videos. I send detailed notes to my editor, Lights, and then he helps bring the vision for the breakdown to life. And he does a pretty great job of it, I think, as well. So hopefully you guys gain some value from all the extra little edits and sight lines, like the nade indicators, the player markers, all that stuff. There is so much you can take away from watching a pro team like C9, even if we're only looking at like a 30-second slice of the action. But a couple things to come away with. Starting strats in general in Halo, whether you're on a team or in solo queue, are so important. They can set the pace for the entire game. Pro teams, they always have defined roles off the start. Every single player knows exactly where to go and what to do, and this is something you should adopt in your gameplay if you're not already doing it, even if you're playing alone. This, for example, this is my own gameplay as an example, but this means knowing the mechanics like the drop slide, or having perfect reticle placement or nade placement like we saw with Stellur. Whatever your strat is, it should be well thought out, and you should be landing it consistently and confidently. By the way, my Curbside Theory, I thought about it more, and I actually think the main factor behind this mechanic is downward momentum more so than your distance from the wall. The more downward momentum you have coming into the slide, the more consistent and more powerful your launch will be. Shimmying to the edge or landing on the edge of a ledge before falling is one way to ensure you get downward momentum, and that's why this slingshot technique is so valuable. But the standard approach to curb sliding still works and is still important. It really just depends on the situation and the ledge that you're standing on. So once again, I'll have to take some time in a separate video to really dive into this more. Anyway, I just think it's cool to see how it all comes together in C9's gameplay. I think there's clear proof here that if you want to be the best in the game, you can't cut corners. Every little component matters, from having rock-solid fundamentals to embracing and mastering every little skill gap this game has to offer, and then being relentlessly confident on top of that, right? There's no hesitation in C9's decision-making. As always, if you like this content, want to see more of it, let me know in the comments. Any discussion related to Anaheim or C9, let's get that going in the comments. We are almost at 50K subs, by the way, so please hit the sub button. Let's finally hit that milestone. I know I've been less active on YouTube recently, but when I'm not making videos, I'm normally commentating Halo multiple times a week. I've got a gig with Esports Arena tonight. I've got a tournament with iBuyPower on the weekend, so if you want to catch me commentating Halo live, check the description. I got all the links, all the details there. I also have more videos coming out as well. I've got a big skill jump project I was working on before Anaheim that I never finished, but I plan to upload everything I did finish, which is still a ton of content. So stay tuned for that. That'll come out soon. Check out related content in the meantime, though, and that's it. Have a good night. I'll see you guys in the next one.